also is important to me, as I think my good friend Bradford would have mentioned. I would have done most things in All Souls. I would have played there. I worshiped there, of course. I check out the girls. Now my wife, she wasn't from All Souls Church. She's from St. Thomas. But by the time we met, I had learned enough about females and so on to be able to give a good account of myself in the relationship. And that is why we are still together, having been married in October 2000. Was that Derek say to watch it? And of course, I like to say that probably the only two things I did not do in All Souls Church was to become a priest or to be involved in the Mothers Union or the Women's Fellowship, and that is for very obvious reasons there. And what was created at All Souls Church essentially was a community center where you had a priest, Father Nichols, now deceased, who was very understanding of the youth, a wonderful wife who was able to mold and shape young people into something that we could be proud of. I am a part of All Souls Church, and I make no apology for saying that is where I grew up and that's where I was born. And the thing about it, that's where I grew up, and that's where it was molded. The thing about it is that the church is still pressing on, putting in place the kind of programs that need to be put in place to assist the youth. Of course, I am not as regular as I should be, but I know my friends there understand. There are a number of them in the audience. I believe that's Roy Christian. He is there. He's one of the fellows I grew up with. Now, he's not a typical All Souls boy, so don't be sidetracked with that. But why are we here tonight besides that? Besides the fact that I'm being launched as the candidate of the Democratic Labour Party in this constituency, why are we here? Because, you know, the pollsters say, boy, Carrington, you're not doing too bad, you know. You have the Reverend on the run. You have the fellow that ran against you last time. He's not BLP strong man, you know. This is not BLP stronghold, because Bramford takes out of that. The bandits say, man, all you need is a little 5% swing. The poll says so, a little 5% swing and you're home. They say you just lost by 177 votes. So you cool. And I say to them, look, I really do not want to hear about that poll. I don't want to hear what I'm saying, because the only poll I am interested in is the one that is to be held on election day, whenever that is. And I'm saying to you that that is the poll you have to be interested in. Because, do you know that I was speaking to a lady recently who actually said that she did not go out and vote for Carrington last time because based on her feedback, Carrington was home long and so on, and we had the seat covered. You could imagine that. I am saying to you that it is important, and I want to make this appeal up front. It is important that you go out on your numbers and vote from morning till evening. Vote for Carrington, those of you who live here. And for those of you, the rest of Barbados, vote for each and every member of the team headed by David Thompson. We have to bring home the government. We have to bring home the government. Now, you may ask why you have to do that. You have to do it if you are concerned about yourselves, about your children and your children's children. True? Good. Now, you might say, you know, yourselves, your children, your children's children. But that sounds like mere political rhetoric. But it isn't, you know. And if you doubt me, you take a little stroll from here when you're able to. Walk into the garden land and down East Avenue, and you see the problems that is being caused by the canal up there and the health hazard it poses to the constituents. Go down the road and and turn right, the first right after Strathclyde, and go into Allen's Lane. Go in there any time of the day, and you will see the people who are home from work because they cannot find suitable work in this country. And then you go across into Goodland, and you see the standard of housing. You go into Rotten Town, you go, I don't like the name Rotten Town, but that's what the residents call it. You go into Vietnam, that's Thomas Gap, that's what they call it. And if you still believe that I am making sport, when I say to you that you have to be careful when you have to look after your interests and to care about your children and your children's children, if you still believe that after you take a visit like that, come back and let us talk. Come, let us reason together. I have asked myself the question, you see, why am I here? Why do we bother to come out like this? It's Sunday night, work is tomorrow, you've had a long week. Why not be home, join up under the white fountain, watching TV, Derek, or something like that, you know, instead of being here? Why stay in this thing with all the hurly-burly and cussing and so on? You ask yourself, why do it? You ask yourselves about the sacrifices you are making. And I will give you a classic example. I mentioned Malika earlier. A couple of weeks ago, both Malika and Michael were home ill with this bug that was going around. I took a day home with them, and in the afternoon I decided, okay, Sandra was on her way home, I could hold her fresh and, you know, go to a meeting. Malika sees me blessed and she says, Daddy, you're going out? Yes, Malika. You're going to another meeting? Then she said, wait, you can't stay at home with your sick children. Malika asked me, so, no, I do not believe that Sandra prompted her. Malika asked me so. And of course, if something like that happens, you know, you will feel it. But my experience is no different. My experience is no different from James Paul's with his wife and his children. No different to Chris's and David. No different to Patrick. Well, not Patrick. Patrick ain't got chick nor child. but you understand what I mean? We make it from Patrick. All right, Patrick. But you understand what I'm saying. We all make sacrifices to be here. And we make it because we care about Barbados and we care about Barbadians. And that is why we are going through this process. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You see, things were not always as they are in this country at present. This country has done well over the years. It has done well over the years, shaped by the ideology and philosophy of the late great Errol Walter Barrow. Shaped by his philosophy. And this philosophy has been articulated by all kinds of people. Of course, I haven't heard anybody articulated it as he has. But for me, I summarize this philosophy as one wherein hard work and honesty, people and their families could progress in life and could confidently look forward to the next generation being better than the last. I summarize it in the philosophy which meant that the Democratic Labour Party, we have from time immemorial gone to great lengths to ensure that we created the environment, that we created a society where whatever your starting point in life, once you were ambitious, if you were hardworking, if you were honest, if you were committed, you knew there were opportunities for you to achieve a better life. I have said that before, and that is all you want. Isn't that what you want out of life? It begs the question, yes, that is what you want.